Bom dia, bem-vindos a mais um ABPP Café. Hoje temos um convidado muito especial e vamos agradecer ele muito pela participação. E queríamos já introduzir o Abhishek Chhabra para o nosso ABPP Café de hoje. Mais uma vez, um assunto técnico sobre proteção passiva, como a gente traz sempre. O Abhishek está falando conosco lá do Oriente Médio, lá de Dubai. Então, vai ser um prazer ter ele aqui conosco hoje. Nós vamos fazer a nossa apresentação técnica e aí depois vamos bater um papo com ele, entreter algumas perguntas que vocês tenham. O Abhishek tem uma longa carreira já, com uma vasta experiência com comissionamento, com avaliação da conformidade, com os laboratórios, já trabalhou por muitos anos em grandes laboratórios como Intertech, como Thomas Bell Wright, do Oriente Médio. Então, é um prazer enorme tê-lo aqui, e nós vamos para mais um ABPP Café de grande sucesso e de grande bate-papo técnico com vocês. Rogério, por favor.
Bom dia a todos. Obrigado, Roberto. Abi, it's a great pleasure to have you here. We are very glad. We've been a couple of weeks ago together, so it's really an honor for us to have this ABPP Café with us. You're going to share some of the global market of fire stopping. You've been to many countries, to many continents, and this is really important to share with us. Então, a gente vai começar o ABPP Café. A todos muito bem-vindos. Eu queria pedir para todos compartilharem, esse link hoje, porque é um ABPP Café internacional. Eu queria agradecer também aos nossos patrocinadores, a CKC do Brasil, R. Dalmolin e a STI Firestop. É importante a gente falar sobre esse mercado global, justamente porque não é para a gente comparar o Brasil, mas acho que é para a gente ter melhores práticas que existem aí mundo afora. O Abhishek é um grande amigo, mas ele também é um grande entendedor desse mercado de qualidade, de certificação, de inspeção, manutenção. Então, tudo que ele vai tratar aqui é no intuito da gente conseguir melhorar o nosso mercado de proteção passiva. Não somente para Firestop, porque tudo que se aplica a Firestop também se aplica a outras áreas de proteção passiva, como segurança estrutural, como reação ao fogo, saídas de emergência. Então, desejo um ótimo ABPP Café. Abi, you have the word. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. I'm so excited to be with all of you together. As you mentioned, I was there in Sao Paulo just a couple of weeks ago, meeting my good friends for the first time since being in touch and communicating so many times. I'm very excited to be back into the ABPP Café. I've heard so much about this, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you together. Specifically to talk with everyone about fire stopping and compartmentation, and the fact that what is the global language of fire stopping and compartmentation, a subject which is very close to everyone who connects with the cafe at ABPP. And I'm very excited to be connecting with all of you today. I start with a simple set of images that probably you can relate with. And it's almost impossible, I think, for any of you to guess where these images have been taken in the whole world. You could guess, but there is no right way to say, well, this is being done in Rio or Shenzhen or Dubai or Texas or Mumbai. And something just like this has got to do with if you see a fire accident or images of a fire accident. There is no way you can figure out where this fire is happening. And this is somehow the pretext of what we talk about, that fires are the same anywhere in the world. And the way compartmentation is being done anywhere in the world cannot be any different. Today, I am representing an international collective of fire stopping and compartmentation industries collective, a body that has been around for more than 26 years, is a collective of businesses who are representing fire stop contractors, inspection agencies, manufacturers, distributors, and the whole industry, which is in a place to deliver compartmentation. And today I will be talking to you about the code neutral approach, which is the DIIM approach of the fire stopping and compartmentation industries global collective. This industry and the association has been educating professionals around the world, bringing them together, discussing common challenges and finding solutions which help overcome these challenges and bring about a code neutral approach. As an example, it's a common topic that if you do a fire test, the fire test should be done as per what standard? Couple of months ago, this was the subject of discussion with professionals around the world who talked about various test methods which are used to assess compartmentation, and we discussed several key points to compare various standards ranging from American, British, European, as well as even Chinese standards and how they compare. If this is something that interests you, for sure you could head to the recording and listen to it at any point of time. Here I am as someone who has been extensively involved in testing, certification, and various assurance-related services, worked for testing laboratories like Intertech, and have a lot of engagement and involvement in standards, codes, as well as doing advisory in my role as TIC.guru to various entities on how to improve conformity regimes that can help deliver better results. If you are someone related to fire and life safety, these terms, what you see on your screen, are probably very common. Whenever fire and life safety are talked about, it's common for people to talk about fire prevention, detection, and various types of response mechanisms, evacuation methods, etc., etc. But today, I want to rewind back and take you to the starting point, to the point where the design of fire and life safety begins, when the architects are dreaming up of how a building or a structure could look like, and the detail engineering is just starting to happen. This is the stage when the drawings are drawn up and compartmentation specifically needs to be brought in to the right place, because any building needs to live, needs mechanical, electrical, plumbing to move what needs to be moved between the buildings, of course, also the doors and windows. But it is really critical that these designs deliver what needs to be delivered in order to build the building and make it fire and life safe. What is critical to do this? It is installation and inspection, because unless the installation is not done correctly of what has been designed, we would not get the fire and life safety plan delivered. I'm hoping some or most of you have seen what is a fire and life safety plan. It is what is prepared way in advance when the building is being designed, so that the building is ready and prepared for a fire incident, and all that will be done when and if there is a fire to save lives and property. For example, what you see on your screen as an image about where the fire rated compartments will come and how long should these be. Because these designed compartmentation, which need to be installed and inspected correctly, are what deliver the evacuation plan. Have any of you seen such an evacuation plan? Many businesses, buildings, types of occupancies regularly conduct a mock fire drill and feel that they are very well prepared to take care of a fire incident. But I want to raise a very big flag here for everyone to know. Unless the compartmentation is designed and installed correctly, the evacuation could be leading you through a fire zone or a smoke zone, and the evacuation may not function. And this is the basis of fire stopping and compartmentation industry, because the life of a building continues for years and decades after the handover, because the building needs to change, needs to adapt. The mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems need to change, need to be modified. Fire-rated doors are in operation. The hinges go loose. So many things change, and these need extensive maintenance. And hence, these four elements form the key basis of connecting the cradle to grave of compartmentation or fire stopping. Recently, they have all come together and are being called as the golden language of passive fire protection, something that the global collective of FCIA has a trademarked system called the DIIM movement, which is correctly designing, correctly installing, correctly inspecting, and correctly maintaining fire stopping and compartmentation. And in case you are wondering how all of this is done, well, over the decades, we have developed an extensive amount of training and collected a large amount of knowledge of how fire stopping and compartmentation are designed, using design guidelines that have been used around the world, not only in North America, but in the Middle East, Asia, and several other countries. We bring together the nomenclatures and the code that defines how design needs to be done in order to bring about and design correct fire stopping and compartmentation. we go to great lengths to explain some of the very trustworthy systems of compliance, checking that yes, these systems are installation ready and can be trusted. We have been party to not only evolve these systems, but we have created several other offerings with the help of third-party certification bodies in order to create an adoptable map that can be used for assuring the cradle to grave of fire stopping and compartmentation. As an example, there are standards and programs that have been written by companies like FM and UL, who run a contractor certification program. And these contractor certification programs are robust mechanisms that provide not only the assurance and overseeing, they provide a free directory of looking up a contractor who has been certified, who has a individual who understands the difference between what the building codes call for, what are the listings and certification or mechanisms by which conformity is explained, and they are able to deliver the right solutions over and over again. Yes, we have been behind not only development of such systems, but also behind getting some of the international standards in place, standards that explain how fire stopping can be correctly inspected and how these are correctly implemented by virtue of inspections, which are driven by building codes not only in North America, but in several other countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and even India and many other countries. How international standards are correctly used and understood. And all of this knowledge is packaged into education that leads to a harmonized system for installers as well as inspection bodies. The American accreditation body IAS published an accreditation criteria called the AC291 criteria, which is being used by several countries, several jurisdictions, as well as industries to empower third-party independent inspectors who have the capability to inspect fire stopping. We also collect and educate the whole industry about how maintenance of fire stopping and compartmentation is defined across various building codes. This all is how the DIIM construct, which is a trademark conversation from FCIA, works and delivers the correct compartmentation, which can be maintained throughout the life cycle of the building. All of this knowledge, information has been compiled into an compendium, also called as the Manual of Practice, which is written and compiled over the years by professionals around the world. This document, which is in its 8th edition and moving to the 9th edition very soon, compiles all the knowledge related to not only how building codes talk about design, installation, inspection, and maintenance, but also captures a lot of data and training related to how various solutions which are delivering fire stopping need to be brought together. This manual of practice which is used extensively around the world, is the basis of credentialing programs, inspection programs, and several other mechanisms that have been adopted in different countries in different ways. We have all of this available in the form of an on-demand fire stop education program where you could cross the levels 1, 2, and 3 and become certified as professionals who understand this much better than anyone else. You could look up more information using the QR code on the screen, and we would be really excited to welcome you to join the larger collective of the whole global industrial body of fire stopping and compartmentation. Before I close today's conversation, I would like to share the QR code of how this program has been adopted in United Arab Emirates, and a recent 2-hour webinar talks about decoding the government regulation which mandates the use and adoption of various systems that are driven by the DIIM program. I hope this has been interesting, and I'm looking forward to answering questions from you.
Muito bom, muito obrigado, Abhishek. Thank you so much, Abby. And it was a great presentation. Queria agradecer a participação de quem está no nosso canal do YouTube. E lembrando que sempre vocês podem compartilhar esse link com as pessoas, podem interagir, e depois ele vai ficar lá gravado também para vocês assistirem ele novamente e enviarem para quem, por acaso, não conseguiu nos assistir hoje. Então, muito obrigado aos nossos patrocinadores, a CKC do Brasil, a Damolin e a STI Firestop. E agora a gente vai conversar um pouco com o nosso palestrante. Nós vamos conversar, entreter algumas perguntas, vamos fazer a nossa interação, né, depois da palestra. Então, já temos algumas perguntas, não sei se o Rogério quer dar algum comentário.
Thank you very much. It was a great presentation. It really opens our mind to see the big picture, because you guys at FCIA see the big picture. And I would like to start with a question, if you may answer this. Here in Brazil, I've seen some cases where the fire stopping was not installed and the fire started, and it went through like 2 or 3 pavements. Have you been to any fire like this where fire stop was installed and it functioned, it worked properly? If you could describe me, or in case it was not, what happened?
So I'll give 2 answers to this. I personally have not been involved in specific fire investigations, and hence I have not been to specific sites where incidents have happened and see how it worked or did not work. I have known of certain fire incidents where the perimeter fire barrier, specifically as a fire stopping, which is from the slab edge, has worked. And I would not be in a position to talk about these, but I have also witnessed a very large number of fire tests in my past career, specifically to an American standard by the name ASTM E2307, as well as another North American standard called ASTM E2874. These 2 methods replicate such a site condition where the perimeter fire barrier is evaluated for its capability to prevent the leapfrog effect. And I must be honest that I am privy to a very large number of fire stopping installations where the work has been delivered correctly. And it is not something which is common a lot of places in the world. But as areas and countries where we have worked, where our members have strived for like 20 plus years, I could say very confidently that there exist lots and lots of projects where fire stopping was designed correctly on paper. And this design was passed on as 2 sets of documents, the MEP drawing, along with the fire and life safety plan of the building, which forms the basis of good transfer of design and site conditions, saying where are the openings. And this approach then leads to another very good standardized approach where the applicator or the installer, along with the manufacturer, they have all the tools that are needed to correctly estimate the job, select the correct systems, and document this not only as work, but also with the correct labeling, which are standard label that will define which system, who is the designated responsible individual who installed it, who inspected it, because the life of a building runs for 50 to 100 years. And all through the life, so much changes and all of these need to be maintained. So there are projects where this has happened and then there is no fire.
Great, Abi. Eu vou traduzir rapidamente, né? Eu perguntei basicamente se ele já presenciou algum incêndio onde o fire stop funcionou ou não funcionou. E ele respondeu que ele nunca teve presente num incêndio real, mas ele era responsável por um laboratório, né, de fogo, onde testavam muitos sistemas. E lá ele viu muitos sistemas, né, muitos que funcionavam bem, outros que às vezes não funcionavam, que eram testados em normas como a STM 2307, e ele falou que no final das contas, né, o trabalho dele acaba vendo muita gente que faz da forma correta, o que acho que é uma coisa que contrapõe o Brasil, né, justamente a gente aqui no Brasil acaba vendo muita coisa errada ou muita falta de instalação, né, desde o projeto, da forma como instalam, né, então o AB ele meio que deu um cenário da importância do projetista, colocar isso em projeto. Ontem eu estava num podcast também falando sobre isso e de fato, né, os projetos não têm nascido com o sistema que deve ser instalado, né, adequadamente. Isso é uma coisa que na nossa norma já consta. Ele falou da questão da etiquetagem também, então você fazer a identificação do sistema de fire stop é muito importante. Isso é uma coisa que também os instaladores devem se atentar. Está na norma também, na NBR 16944, né? Então, foi isso basicamente que o AB respondeu. Vamos para a próxima pergunta.
Ele falou bastante do projeto em conjunto com a norma sendo aplicada, né? O código, e também a importância da instalação, né, da instalação qualificada, né, que é o que é fundamental. Então, acho que isso a gente pode levar, apesar de nós estarmos falando aqui hoje, ou dele ter falado, né, sobre selagem especificamente, a gente pode aplicar para os outros segmentos da proteção passiva, igualmente, né, que é onde nós temos os problemas hoje. Todos os segmentos têm praticamente as mesmas dificuldades no Brasil. E eu acho que isso é importante, que vai ser também depois uma pergunta para ele. Isso é importante porque esses ensinamentos eles se traduzem para o mesmo fundamento, né? Para o mesmo fundamento e se aplicam em todas as nossas disciplinas aí da proteção passiva. Então, a gente tem uma outra pergunta aqui do Gregório, né? E aí eu vou falar ela em português primeiro, depois eu traduzo ela para o Abhishek, mas o Gregório está dando os parabéns aqui, né, pela apresentação, falando como as seguradoras verificam os sistemas de selagem e se são exigidas as inspeções e a execução, né, no projeto. Então, Abby, we have a first of all, he was thanking you for your presentation. That's Gregorio. You remember Gregorio, right? Gregorio Giannakos.
Yes, my good friend.
And then he was asking you a question here about the insurance business and how the insurance verify the fire stopping systems, if they do, okay, and if they actually require inspection throughout the execution of a project, and how does that work, maybe from your experience in the Middle East or in India, in other markets in Europe, in other markets that you have seen. So
this is a great question, and thank you for asking this question. And my answer will be in three different, if I can say, spectrum bands. And I will let Roberto or Rogerio, keep translating me, because I will give a detailed answer.
Ok, ele falou que vai explicar em três partes, e aí a gente vai traduzindo ela.
Good.
So the first part has got to do with many conscientious and conservative insurance companies who will insure very high value assets or projects with extreme care, whether it is companies like Factory Mutual or FM Insurance, or several other international insurance companies, many of whom have come and spoken at our technical symposiums and explained how they do this. And each insurance company typically follows similar systems that we talk about, sometimes exactly the same, to do inspections and verification of the labels of the site. And as you know, some of the inspections are actually destructive inspections. So there are scenarios that they would go above the false ceiling, open, and conduct some inspections as well.
Eu acho que vários de vocês já entendem aí, né? Já assistiram até mesmo a apresentação dele durante o nosso seminário aí, mas o que ele está explicando é que essa primeira parte que ele está falando é que há muitos projetos que são high-end, por exemplo, daí sim, né? Tem inclusive as empresas seguradoras que também asseguram esses patrimônios, né? Como o FM Global e seguradoras deste nível, né? E aí sim, eles realmente se preocupam com a inspeção, se preocupam com ter certeza de que, né, o projeto está sendo aplicado de maneira correta, inclusive fazendo, né, uma inspeção destrutiva, que é o que está em alguns códigos e normas internacionais aí, né, para ver se realmente ele está seguindo, né, os sistemas que devem ser aplicados, né, seguindo a espessura de materiais e realmente a devida aplicação.
So the next part of the answer has got to do with, again, the same question, because the question also asked if the inspections are done throughout the course of the project. And hence, I will talk about many projects that I am familiar with, at least in the Middle Eastern Gulf countries, where despite no mandatory requirements sometimes by a government or the fire department, the project owner itself, by virtue of their procurement specifications, have called for independent third-party inspection as per accredited inspection bodies. And I will point back to the recording that may be available to people when they view this message back. But something that I talked about just now is the website of IAS, which is an accreditation body from North America. And this lists many of these accredited inspection bodies who use the same course and curriculum, which is the manual of practice, and conduct the inspections as per the 2 ASTM standards that are talked about in my presentation. And this inspection is an ongoing process, which means throughout the course of MEP work, these inspections are done, 2%, 0.5%, 5% destructive testing. And there is a very comprehensive documentation done of the inspection work. And that's because people are liable for it at a later stage.
Então, essa responsabilidade, agora, essa é a parte mais interessante, né? O próprio dono do projeto, né? Muitas vezes, quando não é requerido pelo governo, como no caso do Oriente Médio, lá no Golfo, como ele referiu, mesmo quando não é requerido, o próprio dono do empreendimento, por saber da sua responsabilidade e de quanto ele é responsável por aquele projeto e pelas pessoas que vão estar lá, ele mesmo contrata, né, uma empresa certificada, digamos assim, ou acreditada, né? E nesse caso ele citou a agência americana que faz a acreditação. Ele mesmo contrata a empresa para fazer, né, a inspeção durante, né, a construção da edificação. E esse é um ponto fundamental que nós temos que chegar no Brasil e vale para todos os nossos segmentos da proteção passiva. Nós evoluímos bastante, né? Eu vou fazer um comentário meu pessoal agora, no comentário dele, mas nós evoluímos bastante nos últimos anos e agora temos uma norma, por exemplo, de selagem que nós não tínhamos, nós temos boas normas para ensaios das nossas portas corta-fogo, uma questão fundamental no Brasil, onde a segurança contra incêndio não vai avançar enquanto nós não tivermos, é a inspeção. Então, enquanto nós não tivermos eficiência, eficácia na inspeção dos sistemas de segurança contra incêndio, nós não vamos ter uma segurança contra incêndio adequada no Brasil. Então, esse ponto é fundamental para o avanço e a melhora da nossa segurança contra incêndio no Brasil. Nós temos boas normas, temos bons códigos, temos excelentes produtos, sistemas, não temos uma eficaz e eficiente inspeção dos nossos sistemas de segurança contra incêndio. Mas, okay, Abby, I added a comment myself, just so you know, because it was very important what you mentioned. It's one of the key elements and one key part that we are still missing in Brazil, because my comment was that we have good standards and codes. We now have good systems and good product in Brazil being installed. And this is across all our segments for our passive protection segment, okay? But we're still missing one key element, which is what you mentioned, which is inspection. Until we get inspection done, we're not going to have an efficient and dedicated or what do we need from our fire protection. So anyway.
So let me add the third one, because I said there are 3 parts to this answer. Mm-hmm. The third is actually equally exciting for professionals in Brazil to listen about. All the work that we have done and the evolution of inspection and personnel credentialing has been also adopted by industry groups. And I will explain what I mean by industry groups, because previously I talked about contractors and asset owners. Several hospital accreditations have mandatory inspection and labeling requirement at handover, but also annual inspections are needed. And this is something, for example, applicable for accredited hospitals in many countries like North America, government hospitals who get grants to function from the government. And unless they check all the boxes, and there are boxes related to fire safety, and the fire safety box points to a report that is talking about inspection of active and passive fire safety mechanisms, including fire stopping. So if that tick marks is not available, the audit of the hospital is not fully done, and they don't get the grant money. The same way, many hotel chains, international hotel chains, have adopted some of these mechanisms and credentialing requirements in their procurement and pre-opening checklist. And I will also give examples of certain government entities which are in this region where I am in the Middle East, some electrical distribution companies and some government bodies have their own engineers trained as DRIs, designated responsible individuals, who sometimes even undertake a cross-check on the work of their vendors. So I feel that this is very exciting that we are having this exchange, because FCIA now has been extending itself to government-enabled government bodies. I think you and I talked about this in the past, but I would like to share publicly that if anyone who is listening and is a employee of a fire department or an architect or an asset owner like a hospital, some of our paid training programs can be given complimentary as well. So I would be happy to talk about that, but please do translate the third part.
Well, we have one of our number one experts in healthcare in Brazil listening to us. He actually wrote a question to us over here, and he understands fully in English what you're saying, so I don't even need to translate to him, and I'm sure he'll be glad to hear you talking about this very very important and segment, which is healthcare, right? And especially the dedication of fire protection for this segment. But I will try to give them a general idea now about your answer. And o Abhishek falou, né, que a importância, né, dos vários segmentos, né, e realmente dessa preocupação moral que eles têm com a segurança contra incêndio, né, e citou alguns exemplos, né, principalmente da área onde ele está, como a área da saúde, né, onde hospitais públicos, por exemplo, eles não recebem os seus fundos, os seus orçamentos para a construção dos hospitais, se nos seus projetos, né, eles não estiverem lá completamente atendendo todas essas questões normativas. Né? E aí depois ele falou também da preocupação de outro segmento, dos hotéis, né, hotéis, grandes cadeias internacionais, quando vão construir em outros lugares, também exigem muito que todos os seus requisitos normativos e de códigos sejam atendidos para que sejam construídos essas edificações. Então, né, resumindo, eu acho que a gente pode dizer que vem muito também dessa preocupação pessoal. É um caso, né, muito moral que nós temos no Brasil contra a segurança contra incêndio, porque não é técnico. Nós temos a técnica, nós temos as legislações, as normas e os códigos, temos bons sistemas e precisamos da moralidade, né, na nossa segurança contra incêndio, para ter certeza de que nós estamos aplicando ela de maneira correta. Mas ele também falou um pouco, né, da disposição do FCIA, né, do Firestop International Contractors Association, que está expandindo o seu portfólio agora e tem essa preocupação de ter certeza de que sistemas vão ser instalados de maneira adequada, da qualificação, da acreditação dessas empresas para buscar esse conhecimento e ter certeza de que eles estão fazendo o que é correto em todas nessas áreas diferentes, né, para a segurança contra incêndio. Então, Rogério, quer tratar da próxima pergunta, por favor?
Sim, vamos lá. Great, Abby. We're going to move to the next question. It's from Marcus Kahn. So Marcus Kahn, he's asking, he understands that compartimentation is one of the fundamental measures for fire safety in hospitals. How does FCIA define the best practices in the health buildings, in the hospitals?
Sure, I think this is a great one, and the answer is a very straightforward, standard one. We have published a very comprehensive document, which is called the Manual of Practice. I talked a little bit about that in my presentation. And the Manual of Practice is a comprehensive document in its 8th edition now. 9th will go live soon, which teaches how to correctly do fire stopping work and is extensively adopted formally in various healthcare accreditation and qualification programs in many countries, as well as by several hospital accreditation bodies, international and regional. And the way it works is that the Manual of Practice teaches 3 simple things. It teaches what are the code requirements, whether they are American codes or Middle Eastern codes or codes in India and various parts of the world. It teaches how fire stopping is called for to be done correctly. It also teaches about all the different types of fire stopping systems and solutions for an inspector to learn to see how they are installed correctly, how they are communicated, which means a manufacturer, when they say something about their fire stopping solution, how to technically read it. And last, it teaches the inspection standards by STM and teaches how this is done. And once a professional understands all of this, they can write an exam which is conducted by 2 competitive certification bodies, FM or FM approvals and UL solutions. And once they get that, write the exam, they are designated as a DRI or designated responsible individual. And this qualification is called in by the hospital accreditation, saying we need a DRI to go and sign, saying this is okay.
That sounds great. O Abi comentou que tem um manual de práticas, né? Tá indo para a 8ª edição agora já, então vai ser publicado aí em breve. E ele ensina, né, o inspetor exatamente como fazer uma vistoria da forma correta, incluindo os hospitais. Ele explica como que são os códigos, né, ou os regulamentos locais americanos, nos Emirados Árabes, né, em cada região, para que a pessoa entenda como fazer essa conexão entre o sistema e o código local. Ele também explica, né, para o inspetor exatamente o que tem que ser entendido tecnicamente, o que você tem que conseguir ler, né, tecnicamente na hora que for fazer uma inspeção. E aí depois ele passa por uma prova, e essa prova normalmente é formulada pela FM ou pela FM Approvals, né, que cuida dessa parte inclusive de Firestop, tem códigos aí nessa área, ou pela UL. E por fim ele recebe, se ele é aprovado, ele vira um DRI, né? Então, é o indivíduo responsável por essa inspeção. Então, quando o hospital ou o estabelecimento quer fazer essa inspeção, ele fala, me aponta um DRI, me aponta um profissional individual desse que é responsável por fazer a inspeção, porque ele vai lá e monta um relatório para falar se está tudo certo ou não.
O nosso problema no Brasil é realmente bem profundo, né? Porque até o Marcos comenta aqui, e aí eu vou explicar para o Abhishek daqui a pouco também, mas é muito profundo, porque nós temos, né, edificações hospitalares com acreditação Joint Commission que não tem a segurança contra incêndio adequada, né? E isso é o problema. Então, nós temos que fazer todo esse trabalho aí também com o próprio, né, os próprios meios aí, a própria Agência Nacional de Saúde, né, que cuida das acreditações hospitalares. I was telling them, Abby, that our problem is runs deep, and Marcos is commenting here because we both work. I'm the coordinator, and Marcos has been helping us throughout the last many years, 13 years, with the first published healthcare fire protection in healthcare establishments for Brazil. And our problem here is so deep that we have actually hospitals or healthcare establishments with Joint Commission accreditation that do not have the proper fire protection installed. So that's how deep our problem is. But we're going to the next question. I just published there on our YouTube channel the manual of practice that you mentioned. So everybody has it now. We can go to the next question. Rogério,
Great. Ok. Eu queria agradecer aqui a presença de algumas pessoas, né, que estão sempre acompanhando a gente. O Armani, bom dia. O Nelsinho, bom dia, tudo bem? Daniel Fusaro aqui, o Jefferson Henrique, a Margarete Moreno, né, também sempre acompanhando nosso trabalho. O João Mamude, nosso associado ao ABPP aí mais recente, né? E o Marcos Cão, obviamente, né? Elisa Hasselman também. A próxima pergunta, o Armando dando os parabéns aqui para o Chhabra também, falando foi uma apresentação excelente, parabéns para a ABPP. A próxima pergunta é da Elisa. A Elisa Hasselman, ela pergunta, obrigado pela apresentação, gostaria de perguntar como funciona esse tipo de sistema em edifícios históricos, no caso de retrofit. Abby, Elisa, she's asking about historic buildings, like museums, churches. They have a very difficult retrofit problem to be ready for fire safety. So how can we treat fire safety, especially compartimentation or fire stopping in this kind of buildings?
First of all, yes, this is actually a very complex problem. Whether it can be dealt with, yes, there are very small handful number of specialists who do this specifically. And I would talk about something which is also called as performance-based design or performance-based approach. So this is solvable, but it requires a unique approach that works. In my past, I have been involved in testing laboratories where there have been projects where several fire consultants have taken existing published fire test methods and maneuvered them or tweaked them a little bit in order to conduct fire tests of constructions that are representative of some of the older construction. And the interesting thing is that many a times some of the very old constructions actually had very good compartmentation because if you imagine anywhere from 8 to 15 inch thick wood, which is solid wood, chars and provides a very good fire resistance rating. So some of the very old fire rated doors were solid wood fire rated doors. But this is possible, and it is just a little more complex and more money, that's all.
Great, thank you. O Abi ele explicou que é possível fazer uma abordagem por performance-based design, que é justamente a segurança contratando baseada em desempenho, e ele conduziu uma série de testes, ensaios, né, para vários desses tipos de edifícios, né, e ele explicou que para esses edifícios mais antigos, às vezes a problemática não é tão grande, porque ele vê, por exemplo, paredes, né, muitas vezes pode ser até paredes de madeira, que tem de 20 a 40 centímetros de espessura. Então, essas espessuras elevadas, né, junto com algumas propriedades da carbonização da madeira, permite você fazer essa compartimentação. E aí eu queria lembrar e adicionar também que aqui no Brasil a gente tem a BNT-PR, que é uma prática recomendada 1016. E essa prática recomendada ela foi construída a 4 mãos. Então, a gente teve o IFAM, que é um órgão de patrimônio histórico aí, né, que ajudou a gente a construir, porque a gente tem que entender o lado deles também, eles têm que entender o nosso lado de segurança contra incêndio. A professora Rosária Ono também nos ajudou bastante, ela tem muito conhecimento nessa área, então é um documento de mais de 60 páginas, né, está disponível lá na BNT, e ele fala exatamente de todas as medidas de segurança contra incêndio, e algumas delas podem ser instaladas. Então, você tem muitas vezes pinturas, né, no teto dessas edificações, que é difícil de você fazer a instalação de um sistema de detecção. Então, você usa um sistema de aspiração, por exemplo. A outra problemática é sinalização. Eu não consigo pôr a sinalização numa pintura lá que tem pintura de ouro e estragar aquela característica, né? Então, existem outras formas de você pendurar a sinalização, colocar totens, colocar sinalização no piso. E quando tudo isso não funciona e você não consegue fazer nada de medidas de segurança contra incêndio instaladas, você pode reduzir o público. Então, isso é uma das coisas que a gente sempre fala. Por que você vai lotar um ambiente com lá 1.000, 2.000, 3.000 pessoas se ela não tem nada de segurança contra incêndio? Isso pode representar uma ameaça. Reduz e limita o número de público, né? Abby was telling that here in Brazil, we do have a standard that we wrote about these historic buildings, and it was made with some of the Brazilian government regulators for these historic buildings, so they can understand our fire safety concerns, and we can also understand their side, how they need to preserve and how they need to make sure that you don't use a smoke detector over a paint in the wall, in the ceiling. So there are some like aspiration systems that you can use. The signaling, emergency signaling as well, you can put on the floor, you can use totem, other kind of stuff. So when everything that you see you cannot use, you can limit the public. You can at least not make those places so crowded. So this is fire safety as well.
Yeah, I will just add, something I talked about earlier also, is the importance of educating everyone who is under the belief that when a building undertakes regular fire drills, and if the people and the fire department and everyone else thinks that by undertaking the fire drills, you are very ready for handling a fire incident, I want to raise a very big red flag for everyone to know that if the installation of fire stopping and compartmentation is done incorrectly, and that installation is not as per the system that is listed and certified, and if it is not regularly inspected, then these mock drills can actually lead to more deaths, because the people will be evacuated into a zone which people are thinking is fire rated, but it's not, and there is smoke and there is fire. So it is extremely critical for people to understand this fact, that fire rating is needs
Essential,
installation
yes.
and inspection.
Great, Abi. O Abi complementou, né, o meu comentário falando que muito importante a gente falar de educação também. Então, os treinamentos de brigadas devem ser feitos constantemente nas edificações. Isso cria uma cultura prevencionista, né? E ele levantou um red flag, um grande alerta aqui, né? Um alerta vermelho aí para a gente, que a instalação de sistemas de fire stop, a instalação de sistemas de selagem resistentes ao fogo, quando ela não é feita, inspecionada e manutenida da forma correta, ela pode trazer grandes prejuízos, né? Imagina você, as pessoas irem para uma área de refúgio, por exemplo, elas estarem esperando que aquela área de refúgio vai funcionar, né? Que ela vai ter uma segurança lá por 2, 3 horas e de repente começa a entrar fumaça, de repente as chamas começam a chegar nesse ambiente. Então a responsabilidade é realmente muito grande e ela é compartilhada também.
As pessoas podem ser encaminhadas a entrarem nessas áreas, né, por causa desse treinamento, né, desse treinamento que eles têm, ou dessa própria educação, e aí estarem esperando alguma coisa que não vai acontecer, ou seja, podemos ter mais casualidades acontecendo do que o esperado. Então, eu queria agradecer mais uma vez a presença de todos, queria agradecer aos nossos patrocinadores, CKC do Brasil, a R. Dalmolin, a STI Fire Stop, né? Queria agradecer a presença de quem nos assistiu hoje no nosso canal do YouTube, né? E, por favor, compartilhem esse link, né? Assistam novamente essa muito, muito, muito importante apresentação do nosso convidado de hoje, e a gente sabe que nós vamos voltar em breve aí com outros cafés, com outros temas técnicos sobre a proteção passiva. Abby, I want to thank you very, very much for your participation on our ABPP Café today. I know this is going to be the first one of many others, and we are really in this connection now with your knowledge, with the whole work that you are doing, trying to bring to different countries now around the world, and in Latin America specifically, since we're here. But this knowledge, accreditation, certification, which is the right path to a proper, fire safety for all. So I want to thank you very much for your participation, and we'll be, in touch again very soon. So, closing remarks, please.
Sure, it's my honor and pleasure. The last 20 years, I have worked a lot in compliance and conformity, and it gives me real joy to be able to spread knowledge and education. I'm very excited to share that we have a large set of resources which are available for people to learn international ways of doing things easily. And I'm really encouraged by the efforts of ABPP and the teams which are powering ABPP as passionate people and all the listeners. And I would really encourage you to take on this mission, something that FCIA have been doing in many countries. We do dedicated webinar sessions on each element of our framework, which is the DIIM framework. So I would encourage you to plan for, inviting someone who is a designer on the ABPP Café next time. And we will get an international designer or a consultant who has been following the DIIM framework. And similarly, we can have a very fruitful discussion between designers, between installers, between businesses who can be inspectors in Brazil and learn from practicing inspectors, and same for maintenance as well. So I would be very happy and privileged to be able to, pass this good work that ABPP Café is doing and the whole team. Big thanks to Rogério, Roberto, you and Laís, and all the people who are listening in.
Great, Abby. A Abby falou da importância, né, do DIM, que é justamente projetar, instalar, inspecionar e fazer a manutenção. Então, ele falou que ele sugere a gente trazer um arquiteto da próxima vez, que consegue também ser esse óleo na engrenagem aí, né, para a gente fazer as coisas acontecerem. Ele tem feito isso sistematicamente. O Abhishek também é uma das pessoas que mais milita, né, a respeito de produção passiva mundo afora. Então, para a gente é uma grande honra sempre ter ele aqui. E antes da gente finalizar aqui, eu queria só avisar vocês que a ABPP está apoiando o workshop do GSI, que é o Grupo de Fomento à Segurança contra Incêndio, organizado aí pela professora Rosária Ono, né, da FAUSP. Então, eu vou deixar o link aqui no chat para vocês se inscreverem, né, o evento vai acontecer lá na FAUSP. Agradecer novamente os nossos patrocinadores, né, a presença do Roberto, Laís, Abby. So Abby, thank you very much again. We just translated this, and I hope we can bring an architect here, as you suggested. Thank you very much for the suggestion. We're going to look forward. Laís?
Thank you, Abby. Obrigada a todos. Pessoal, mais um ABPP Café muito interessante. E vamos para o próximo.
Muito obrigado, bom dia a todos. Thank you so much, Abby. We'll be talking soon.
Let's have a great day. Bye-bye.
Obrigado. Thank you.